The Primal SMG is here. It's in the event shop as of a week ago as of recording. I was on a trip. I'm late. But if you want to pick up this weapon now or in the future without gold, you can actually flux it from the collection book. You can actually do this with every single Primal weapon. And because there are 3 decent 6 perk options on these weapons, you might want to research a flux copy. A lot of people have a lot of epic flux sitting around because gold is a lot more valuable. So you might want to flux a few of these, see if you get the correct 6 perk, and then go from there. But Corey perk's pretty common as well. So depending on what you're lacking, you might want to go there. But yeah, the Primal SMG, really strong weapon, decent fire rate, really good at crowd clearing. You can see from this gameplay, it is shredding everything that is up close. And I say up close because the accuracy is a bit brutal, but honestly, if you get close range, it doesn't even feel like it's a problem. And it's a weapon that really, really does a great job. So let's talk about what we could do with the Primal SMG. Now, these perks are not recommended necessarily. I was running totally rocking out. Let's just start from the top with the element. These weapons are locked to nature. Epic, I'm going to show the timeline here, so flashbang warning. Actually, we're in a dark part, so it's not too bad. Epic decided to release these during the fire season. This spreadsheet will be linked down below if you're interested in reading more. You can see August 16th this came out. So in the middle of a fire season, they released nature-only weapons. That might change in the future. Epic did make a little note of that. I'll show it on screen. Freight said that they might tweak that in the future. So right now that might not last forever, but as of recording, it is unfortunately locked to nature, which means you're going to only want to use this in nature or water zones, unfortunately. But that is what it is. Now, for the perks, obviously, the standard crit rating, crit damage is perfectly fine. I don't love not critting. Nobody does, but totally rocking out can help. And even if you don't have that, this thing is firing 9 shots per second. So you're going to be critting about 3+ times per second anyway. And with the frenzy perk upping your fire rate, yes, it does that. You're going to be critting even more often. But one thing at a time. So I like to recommend crit rating, crit damage, reload, miss monster bosses. That's pretty much might be all you need. Thanks for watching. See you later. But if you want to get further into it, let's talk about the different alternatives. Now, on the pistol, I recommended the headshot perks. That is not going to work on the SMG. This thing is too inaccurate. You cannot force that. So crit rating, crit damage, or double crit damage, I was running this because I was running Totally Rockin' Out. So Totally Rockin' Out was bugged for a little bit. Now, what was happening was when the team perk activated over its 8-second cooldown, you could not reactivate it until that 8 seconds was up, which means it was really inconsistent. And sometimes even after that 8 seconds, it wouldn't re-up, or it would activate, but it wouldn't show the visual effects, so you didn't know. It was a whole mess. That is actually completely fixed as of recording. So little news flash for you guys watching as of present. If you're watching this in the future, you're rolling your eyes because you already know it. But this is a basic loadout. This is nothing super special. Sledge in the lead, rocking out. Wafers, battle beat. Salt ammo recovery gives you a bit of extra ammo. I know it's not necessarily a loadout video, but this is something you might want to run. And of course, it is an SMG, so you can use all of the melee Outlander alternatives. This is just a super standard build because this will help you crit more. And that's basically why I can justify a double crit damage build. And I'm saying the same thing now that I said in the Primal Rifle video, link to that down below. I actually, if you have Totally Rockin' Out and you have Sledgehammer, I actually recommend double crit damage because the accuracy of this weapon is tough. You have to be very close range, and making those shots count means that double crit damage is highly recommended. Granted, it'll be a lot more consistent and a lot less reliant on Totally Rockin' Out to have a crit rating perk in there, and you'll still do tons of damage. But if you want to hit hard and go crazy, double crit damage could be super fun. Crit rating is significantly more practical. That is definitely the way you want to go in a general sense. Now, reload is basically the only one I can recommend. I don't think headshot is going to be consistent enough. Damage to miss monsters and bosses can be okay, depending on how you're playing. Maybe you want the frenzy perk for missed monsters, so killing them a little bit faster is what you're going for. But the Primal SMG shoots fast and does pretty decent damage, enough so that it's actually really okay at crowd clearing, and taking care of them means you're going to want to reload fast. And you can see without the reload perk, you've got a 2.2 second cooldown. That's not too bad. That's not too bad, but at 9 shots per second, 35 ammo, you're basically, even with that assault ammo recovery and support, you're going to be reloading almost every 4 seconds, every 4.5 seconds. It's a lot of reloading. So I prefer a reload perk just to get right back in the action, but if you're okay with a bit of a slower reload, you can do a lot more damage. That's kind of up to you. I love the implementation of double miss monsters and bosses on some of these new weapons because they actually added this for the first time that I can think of. The first notable time that I can think of was the plasmatic discharger. Now, this is a video for another day. Link to that down below. It's not going to be out as of this video's release, but stay stay tuned. I re-recorded it, or I actually made a proper one because my first one was a joke. And double miss monsters and bosses does a lot for that weapon. They basically nerfed the weapon, but then buffed it at the same time. So that's actually not just a bad recommendation. I think you might want that for extra damage if that makes sense to you. Never do double crit rating. Diminishing returns on that hits really hard. It's never worth it mathematically. Even if you're running Zenith with bows, I don't support that. But that's a different topic for another day. I'm getting distracted again. Crit damage. All right. So the 5th perk, you pretty much only want damage to miss monster bosses because you can't afflict the targets with this weapon. You can't snare them, and you can maybe stagger and stun them, but that doesn't happen that often. And the mist monsters are the only enemies that are really going to need that extra damage anyway, so I can only really recommend that 5th perk. Now, the 6th perks are where things get really interesting. For the pistol, shotgun, and AR, the 30% extra damage to 85% health targets is actually really strong. For the SMG, I think it's the worst option because it basically doesn't do anything. You're not hitting that hard. It's an SMG. You're getting your damage from your fire rate. So I can't honestly see a situation where this makes a big difference because the Frenzy perk is so amazing. Now, the Frenzy perk doesn't read that amazing. Basically what it does is when you eliminate a mist monster or 5 enemies, it'll activate Frenzy, which gives you and your tamed pet, so like your wolf or boar or raptor, if you can do that, I don't even care. Animals are so bad, I haven't really looked into it. It gives you and them a 25% movement speed bonus, which is great. Running around quicker is awesome. That'll get you out of a pinch or just get you to the next location. It's awesome. But on top of that, it gives you an attack speed bonus. For whatever reason, I've yelled at them politely. I think they're going to fix this text. It also gives you a fire rate perk, and they just didn't tell us. In fact, your sheet doesn't even update. It says 9 even after Frenzy's activated. Even when you are shooting faster, it doesn't tell you that you are, and that extra fire rate is critical. That makes this weapon so much stronger. I really like that. We'll talk about the attack speed for the melee at the end of the video for a couple of reasons, because it's less optimal and because it's bugged right now. We'll talk about it, but what I want to say is that extra fire rate is so good. Getting it activated from the mist monster can be really good. There are less mist monsters on the map, so they've compensated by giving you a 12-second bonus increase instead of 5 seconds, so it lasts a bit longer even though you have less mist monsters. I don't love this actually, because activating a mist monster can be super consistent. You just find the big purple enemy, shoot that one, and you'll know your perk's activated. But you have to spend a whole mist monster with that lessened fire rate. I think spraying into a crowd of enemies, killing 5 of them, then getting the perk active can be a really good way to get that going, because you could kill 5 enemies, then target the mist monsters while it's active, then go back to the 5 targets, or you could just shoot the enemies the whole time. You know, once you get 5 of them down, if you're in an encampment or something, they're all going to be dead before you take care of it. And I think that's a really good perk to have, because that extra fire rate goes a really long way, and I think that's definitely the way you want to go. Whether you want to go mist monsters or 5 enemies is totally up to your playstyle, how you want to do things. I don't think it's worth a core reperk for me to switch to 5 enemies, so even though I kind of recommend that, I might stick to the mist monsters because they're so similar. And core reperk, I do have 23 of them down here. I know my thing's covering it, but I just don't think it's worth switching. Now, the attack speed bonus of melees. When you switch off of the primal weapons, the frenzy perk goes away. It is no longer active. That is a known bug. So I'm going to talk about it like it is functioning, because shooting 5 enemies or a mist monster with this weapon and then swapping to a melee can be really fun. Now, there are a lot of melees. I'm gonna link my best melees video down below if you guys want to see which one suits your playstyle, but some obvious picks are like the Ravager is super strong, the Spectral Blade is super strong, Stabsworth III is really good. There are some really easy weapons that don't need any loadout whatsoever. Granted, the Stormblade does kind of want its Whiteout Fiona build. I'll link that video down below. But you also got the Vacuum Tube Sword, which is really good for Chain Lightning, and it's also locked to nature as a release. So the primal weapons might have different elements, but for now they're both nature, so they kind of complement each other. That Chain Lightning is super strong if you're not in a fire zone. You can see it down there. That is a really good perk to have. So having a melee on the side can be really fun to take advantage of that attack speed, but it really depends on your playstyle. So this is a loadout that I was using recently. It just has Luna with Battle Beat, and Shredder is really the key here, because I was using the Clax with this. Super strong weapon. The Clax, unironically very good, but I'm going to link my best ninja loadout video down below. That'll show you all the best options if you're trying to run melee builds, because ninjas are more suited to melees, so that's why the video is focused on that, and that'll get you taken care of. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy your new weapon. If you guys want to check out another video, I'll have some recommended in a second here. Subscribe if you're new, and yeah, thanks for watching.
And then